Good evening, everybody. It's your Auntie Lynn, one of your favorite aunties. Here again with Auntie Helen Collier. I'm here with Auntie Leslie Montgomery, and also we have a special guest tonight who came to stop by to contribute as well in this special presentation, and that is Miss Jo Lute Irvin. Excuse me, another auntie in the village. Tonight we have a special presentation by Auntie Helen. Tonight she'll be talking about the subject of love. And the Greeks have four different definitions of love. One is storge, that's a family love, love that you would have from family, or sometimes it's called brotherly. And then we have agape love, which is more like a godly love. And the love, when they talk about loving your enemies, unconditional love, love that God had for us when He gave His Son. Sorry. We have filio, that's the love of friendship. And then we have eros. The eros is more of like a sexual love or a love between partner or husband and wife or more of an intimate love. So tonight, I'm not going to hold you, but I just want to remind you to like, subscribe, share, and then make a comment, if you will. Let us know what you're drinking at the cookout. Come on in to the cookout, sat down, learn you something, let the aunties know that you are here. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Leslie Montgomery, your auntie Leslie. Come on, Leslie.
Leslie Montgomery is here. So we're talking about love this evening. And really, when I think of love, I just know that by way of experience, love comes in many forms and it looks very different the it looks different to everyone. I think that depending on how you was raised, depending on your life experiences, depending upon um you know yeah, the things that you've gone through, love can just look different. So whether it is healthy, whether it is toxic, um it 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 depends. The person that is, how can I say this? The person that could tell you what love means to them, it might not look the same as what it means to you. Um, Unfortunately, I believe that, some women have gone through things that have caused them to think that love means their significant other being physical with them. And as we all know, and I think we all could agree, that is absolutely not the truth. Um, so I'm just here and I'm ready to engage in conversation. I know that Miss Helen J. Collier has a lot to say on love, and I'm going to hand it over to her.
Thank you, ladies. Uh, I'm a storyteller writer. I write about a lot of things, but I really like to write about love, especially love between a man and a woman, and what I call true love.
Mm.
When I was a little girl, about 6 or 7, can't remember which, I fell in love with the boy across the street. He was 6 or 7 himself. He had thick, bushy black hair, neatly cut, as was the custom for black boys in
Mhm.
that day coming up. His skin was the color of chocolate cake, and he had the lightest brown eyes I've ever seen. My dear said she didn't know what, but he must be mixed with something. He bought me big sunflowers. He picked just for me. Anyway, we talked about what we wanted to be when we grew up and how we would be together forever. One day, my dear came home and told my brother, sister, and me that we were about to move. I waited to get my mother alone and asked her what was going to happen with Marvin and me. She looked at me, laughed, and said, "Girl, that ain't nothing but puppy love you two got going on. We getting out of this neighborhood." We moved. Time and distance erased Marvin, Melvin from my heart, and other short-lived loves took his place. When asked to give a presentation, I thought back to my first love and chose William Shakespeare's Sonnet 116 as a clear description of true love. I chose the version written in modern English, which clearly describes my sentiment. I shall share. I hope I may never acknowledge any reason why minds that truly love each other should not be joined together. Love isn't really love if it changes when it sees the beloved change, or if it disappears when the beloved leaves. And like a star, its value is beyond measure. Though the height can be measured, love is not under time's power, though time has the power to destroy rosy lips and cheeks. Love does not alter with the passage of the hours and weeks, but lasts until doomsday. If I am wrong about this and can be proven wrong, I never wrote and another, and no man ever loved. Shakespeare and I are on point about true love. When love enters the heart, it creates intense feelings of affection for a person or a thing with which it binds. Many believe that true love is a divine gift from God. For those who are fortunate enough to experience it, true love cannot be bought, can't be sold, and it can't be borrowed, nor can it be given away. It forever seals one's heart to another. It is not something you see, like, and then dismiss once it's gone. Google defines love as an intense feeling of deep affection, the feelings experienced by lovers or loved ones where distance plays no part. For centuries, humans have sought to capture love, believing it is a possession that can be bought with money, controlled, or forcibly taken. It cannot. It is an emotion deeply seated in the heart beyond human influence. Love never seeks to hurt the heart it enters, but desires only if they can take possession of love, feeling too harsh to forcing too harsh to bond, will never experience the true love they seek. I shall share with you two excerpts from my novel, Miss Anna and the Tears from the Healing Tree, of which I feel true love is expressed. I have been making love to that body of yours for 9 unforgettable years, Miss Anna. Only in your dreams may I remind you. Dreams so real, I still hear your purrs and moans as you call my name over and over.
Mm.
Yes, feeling your fingers stroke the length of my back while my body is locked with yours. Have you forgotten? Do you have to remind me? Anna asked, trembling as desire for him coursed through her body. You have given me comfort in the worst of my suffering, he said as his finger traced a line from her lips to the rim of her breast, caressing the edge of her brocade peach dress. When I found you, I was afraid that once you saw my hideous face, you too would run from me as she has. Had it not been for you, I would have died lying in my own waist. Anna sat gazing into the gray eyes, hypnotizing hers. No soul on earth has witnessed what you have and know the part of me that is pure flesh and blood in a way that would shame any man. You have seen me at my weakest, not to mention my tears that I forbid any other living soul to see. You have nourished me and restored my life in a way I cannot explain. Tell me, for what purpose was I saved and why did you stay? Anna's heart staggered. She looked at the scar just below his hairline and wondered how it happened. This man was the only part of her past still intact, thanks to the old head, tucked away safe in her dreams where not even her mother could hurt him. Finding him in that apartment near death had shattered her heart. Seeing him struggle to rise and feeling his body tremble and his tears flow when nightmares shook him touched her in such a way she could not explain. Lying in bed with her arms wrapped around him, she assured him that she would never leave. As long as he needed her, she would be there. The old head had sealed their lives as one. How could she not do everything in her power to assure his survival? In some strange way she could not explain, their lives were still connected, each to the other. Everything about him remained a mystery that she must uncover. The need for him came out of nowhere. Taking hold of the beautiful peach hat still on her head, she leaned close and whispered in his ear, "What is the name of that damn cologne you're always wearing that makes me desire that body of yours?" As her lips moved away from his ear, they touched the thin mustache growing just above his lip. She opened her lips to receive his, and suddenly there was no one on earth but them. Now we need to know how his eternal love is expressed for her. Let's go inside so you can relax. You've had a long day, Raymond said, opened the door to the dark room, switching on the light. To their shock, the room held guests awaiting their arrival. "Hey, buddy, why don't you open that briefcase for us?" A large white man wearing a cowboy hat, green plaid shirt, and shaggy blue jeans motioned to Raymond as he lifted a gun from his belt. Another man stood behind him with a gun pointed at Raymond and Anna. Those were the same men she realized who pierced into the motel diner earlier. Their guns made her flash back to Barb's apartment and the gun Barb held on her. Raymond took a key from his pocket, tossed it across the table in front of the briefcase. The man behind the big guy laughed at them. His outfit much the same, except that he wore suspenders to hold up his pants. And a shock matched that of the two men when the briefcase popped open, exposing stacks of $100 bills. "Rick said he was a good score. Motherfucker smelled like tons of money. Those clothes she got on must have come from one of those fancy stores," the small man said, laughing as he moved towards Anna. "My daddy had a nigger gal once. He said loving her was like being thrown into a honey bowl. The more you lick, the sweeter she gets." "Take the money and go," Raymond demanded. Anna's heart pumped hard as she moved behind him. "I get to have some of her too. All we got to do is finish him off, and she's ours for the taking." The large man leered as he pointed the gun in their direction. "The only way you can have her is come through me," Raymond said, folding his arms as Anna watched him glare at them. "Like I said," the big guy sneered through clenched brown-stained teeth, "you can die right now, motherfucker. Then I know I would have her." Mm. Removing a small sealed ball from the sleeve of his arm, Raymond blocked Anna, trembling behind him, calmly saying, "And when I die, you will die right along with me. Nitroglycerin is nothing compared to this little baby. So shoot, boys, and we will all go to hell screaming. I guarantee you that. You didn't think I was foolish enough to carry this much money around without armor, did you? Now you motherfuckers shoot. I'm ready to die." Anna held on to him, thinking she wasn't quite ready. "Come on, Benny. This money will buy us 20 nigger women like her." "I know you want your money back, but don't call the police until I'm out of sight. I don't want them questioning me," Anna said, following him up a hill that overlooked the highway. Raymond ran a short distance away and took the valve from his pocket, threw it and rushed back, pulling her down to the ground. An explosion shook the earth around them. You weren't kidding. You were willing to die to keep them from taking me. Anna gasped. It's hard for a man to give up a woman when she comes to him in his dreams every damn night. He whispered, his gray eyes hard on her as he pulled her up into his arms, kissing her in a way that made her heart leap. Moments later, a second explosion was heard as flames and smoke filled the air. Damn it! I forgot to tell them there was another vault. If they failed to remove it, one hell of an explosion would take place. That, my darling, dears, is my understanding of deep love when you're willing to give your life for another person if their life is in jeopardy. Most importantly, I need to talk to you, my girls. This is what you need to learn about love. While puppy love growing up is beautiful, once you reach puberty, feelings of being in love may very well be sexual attraction and not true love, as many young girls believe. Females, as well as males, are endowed with hormones that cause them to desire sex. Their hormones are not an indicator that true love is involved in the act itself. Many girls who do not understand how their bodies work believe the sexual feelings they are experiencing are feelings of love. They are not. It is a regular release of hormones in the body, triggering desires to reproduce. Many believe only males desire sex because their penis stiffens to cause an erection for the function of reproduction. The female body is also equipped with hormones that indicate a readiness to perform the sexual release that prepares the body to reproduce itself when they mature sexually. Female hormones, however, are released inside the body instead of having a physical appearance as does the male erection. This causes many to believe that only males should desire sex, not females, who, if they're good girls, do not desire sex until they are married, if at all. This is far from the truth. Your sexual feelings don't mean you're a bad girl or a fast girl or promiscuous. When you walk by a boy, an emotion, no desire to be close to him emerges from your body, desiring him. You are not falling in love. You are experiencing a release of the sexual hormone as he. Yours, however, of release within your body. These hormones that are triggered have nothing to do with true love. It's the same natural desire alerting you that your body is preparing you to reproduce, just as when a male's body stiffens in an erection that alerts him to reproduce. Girls, once the boy rises from the performing that act, it's over for him. He does not have to carry the results of the act as does the female if he fertilized her egg. You must become aware of what is happening to your body and understand that the desire that male feels is not love, but a natural sexual attraction, as it is with all mammals that reproduce. It is the same sexual attraction you are feeling. Girls, you haven't fallen in love. Your body is developing so that when you when you're mature enough, you will reproduce life. You need to understand what is happening to your body and that the outcome will impact you in ways that male don't have to encounter before it is too late. This knowledge, I hope, will give you an understanding of the difference between true love and the sexual act between males and females, and who will be greatly impacted. There are no lasting feelings of love involved in having sex too early. Understanding the emotion your body is producing is most important to your present and future life. Shakespeare says it best. True love does not alter with the passage of a few hours or the passage of a few weeks, but until doomsday. Young lady, this evening, Auntie is sharing with you what love is and what it is now. Not from her heart, straight with no chasers. Thank you.
Now that is nine-time published author extraordinaire, Miss Helen J. Collier. Bring it to us, as always, straight, no chaser. And Miss Helen, when you were talking, I was thinking about the other, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this uh kind of love, but the Eros love that they said because they were true lovers
Yes,
and they
yes.
didn't define, I mean, they each had a way of showing love for each other in a way that was different. Like hers was just in a manner of I love this man. I love spending time with this man. I know he's my protector, but I'm not sharing this love with everybody, with the world. So her dreams and keeping him safe in that space. And his was more of out loud, like, I don't care who sees me and who knows it. This is my woman, and I'm going to protect her with my physical body at all costs. It doesn't matter what. Miss Joe, you have to, I know that you've read this
Mhm.
trilogy multiple times, right? I believe. And
Yes.
um, so I want to kind of get your take on love in general, and what you might have gotten from this trilogy. It's Miss Anna and Tears from the Healing Tree, and then
Mhm.
Miss the other two books, right? So
Mhm.
come on, Miss Joe, and you got to bring it to a straight no chaser.
Okay, I'll try. But let me start by saying that Leslie started this, really nicely when she said, love is at different levels. And then Helen went into her definition of love through uh, including William Shakespeare. And she started with puppy love. And then she went on to puberty, the type of love through puberty when girls are just having these feelings of reproduction. And they think it's love, but it may or may not be real love. Although there are some relationships that start in high school, middle school, and then they get married later and they're together forever. I know a couple of people like that too, but it's rare. And but then she goes on to Miss Anna and the Tears of the Healing Tree, and where Raymond protects Anna with his life, and she also shared those feelings that Anna had um, to show her love for Raymond as well. But her trilogy is a series where it gives many examples of true love, and some ups and downs through that process, and that every love affair is going to have some ups and downs, but there's always something, if it's true love, that usually brings them back together again. And so those are the things that she really expresses mainly, and especially in a situation where the two people are of different ethnicities during a time when that was not allowed in all places. And so they demonstrated true love for each other. But then in that book, there was a lot of what uh, mystery. There are aliens that are guiding the way, and so it's very interesting. And I think that's all I would say about it now, except if you want to know what's happening in the books, then I'd suggest reading them because they will keep your attention from beginning to end.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because I have not gotten very far in. I'm still in the first one, but um, so I know that I'll probably read through there and experience all four of the definitions of
How
love.
far?
According
How?
to Greece. I'm only in I think the second chapter still because I keep
Oh,
having to put
oh,
it past.
yeah. See
I know
that?
you told me get past 50.
once you go toward the end, you are going to wish you had the second book like in your hand, like right now. And
Okay, I dig it.
the same when you get toward the end of the second book, you're going to say the same thing about the third book. And I know that because I've got some people to purchase her books, and they were calling me up saying, I want the other book now. I want the other book now. So I had to go to Helen and get those books for them.
Yeah, that's a I'm looking forward to the day when I can sit and really just get into the books.
Mm-hmm.
I, you know, but like I said, Miss Nine-time published author, and Miss Helen writes like no other. And through, her books, I do see all different kinds of, the definitions of love, the Greek definitions, the agape, the philia or filio, the
Mm-hmm.
eros. One thing I don't really see, this is a kind of a fifth love they talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when you just have a crazy love, just
Uh-huh.
obsessed, like more of an obsession.
Right.
Is,
And, and,
is
You see a lot when
and
folks are younger or
yeah.
older. I mean, but that kind of love is not necessarily talked about, and some people don't even consider that as love. That may,
Mm-hmm.
but there's something there that keeps you kind of entangled. Leslie, you have anything
Well,
right
can I
now?
say one more thing? It,
Yes.
in Helen's book, though, there's also a battle between love and hate,
Mm.
and that gets you to really want to know what's going to happen in the end, and will this get to that relationship? So there are a lot of things that they have to fight through in that book, and you don't really know what's going to happen until it happens.
Well, we'll
Okay.
get there. That was she read from Miss Anna and Tears from the Hill. Um, at the end, we'll tell you where to find it, where to get that. But
Mm-hmm.
continuing on with love, Leslie, you had mentioned before that as a young girl, um, you had, wished that you had an auntie or someone to tell you the things that Miss Helen had. I can't put it like you put it, but like, speaking to that, could you speak on some more? Because I just thought that was beautifully orchestrated. The way you orchestrated.
Yeah, what I was saying was because Miss Helen explained in such a way about, our bodies and what our bodies do naturally, the natural desires from a woman or from a man, whether or not you're a young teenage, male or female, or you're in your 20s. I think that women have been accustomed to feeling more so ashamed at times because of what our bodies do naturally. And men are made for women and women for men, you know. In my belief, my fundamental belief system is, that is how God created us. So, I just think that it would have been nice to benefit from having an auntie or an older sister. I'm the baby of my mother's four children, and I have a sister who's 11 years older than me. And so when I was a little kid, basically, she was graduating high school. And it would have been nice to be able to hear some words from someone who was old enough to know that, listen, as you grow older and as you start experiencing these different things in your body, you don't have to be ashamed of it. But at the same token, um, you know, I think it's important to mention too, because there's so many different women and men alike. We can't leave them out, young boys and young girls alike, that go through different things in life that are not something that they should have had to endure or experience because love or lust or however you want to look at it has been uh you know, warped. And then you have victims of abuse because they are being fed this lie, like, oh, this is love and I love you, and they're taking the person who is taking advantage of the disadvantaged person now has, in my opinion, planted this thing um, in someone that they are now going to have to grow into a young adult and into adulthood, having gone through some things that, you know, they didn't have to go through or should not have gone through. And it's going to just, it's going to twist their idea of what real love is, and that's the sad part about it. But yes, I did say that I would have loved to have had an auntie or, you know, sister or something like that, even my mom, to explain to me the way Miss Helen explained it when we were conversating before, because I think it's important for young women to know that, you know, and to be comfortable with in themselves and their bodies, and as they're growing older, to know that it's not a bad thing to desire, you know, a male. And but it's let's keep this thing in a healthy box, and let's keep it where it should be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so there's she's an author. She participated in our Black Authors Appreciation last year, but Miss Jeanette Wheeler, and Jeanette does this thing. It's called Pearl Talk,
Mm.
and it's young girls where she, you know, at the end she gives them all a little pearl, but it talks about your body's going through changes and what your desire. Now she comes from a biblical standpoint, a Christian background, and not everybody might believe in that, but I say all the time, it just because you don't believe it don't mean it ain't true. But she does a wonderful talk with girls. I think all three of my girls have gone through the Pearl Talk. Excuse me, sorry y'all. But yeah, Jeanette does that, and she talks about all the different changes. And I have a love-hate relationship with teenage girls or girls going through puberty, because it's like I like to teach them and I like them to teach me like what they're going through now and this and this. But the in between of them not knowing what to do with their bodies, and they have all these hormones and all this kind of stuff, and they're dealing with emotional, physical, physiological things that are going on in their bodies, is something that I'm like, I don't want to be standing in that gap all the time. And sometimes trying to speak to young girls and even young men, um, I think it's easier to talk to young men for me. Like I used to say, I could deal with a gym full of boys and before I deal with four girls in a room, because for me it was just easier. And girls go from an emotional standpoint. And so when you take that away from them and say, like, Miss Helen was saying, your body is just going through some changes, this, and this, and you explain it in that way, they understand. But if nobody tells them that, they're going purely off of emotion and what their friends are feeding into them. Or we talked about before about oh, if um acts of kindness equate to love. So, a boy bought you some flowers and, you know, took you to um out to lunch, or called you three times today. Those acts of kindness translate to, oh, he loves me. Then you got your friends telling you, oh, well, he must be in love, he loves you, girl, because he did this thing. And that doesn't equate to love, as Miss Helen put it. That's your body going through some changes, and we need to pay attention to that. Boys, I found that I've worked with, they don't get emotional at that age about a girl. But if they do, I found they, tend more towards the mania, like being obsessed. That's my girl, this, and this. And that still ain't love. That's like just obsession. This is my possession, right?
Mhm.
I don't know how y'all feel about that or how eloquently I could put that, but that's what I found. And then for me, it's easier to talk to boys about, you need to preserve yourself just like a girl would need to preserve herself. You can't just you have a body count and that just be that. We need to talk to our boys as much as we do to our girls.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, when we think about the female, her life has started off so um, controlled, and her responsibility was always on her. And I wanted to speak to young girls, I've had over 200 girls working at the youth center as a detention officer when I started working mainly with girls. And I think that they're not understanding what it means to be a female and how important it is to be who they are. And having been given the idea that the male is the absolute
Mm.
major human on this earth, and she's lucky, when he looks at her, when he gives her his time, and she has to look a certain way for him. Look in that mirror and tell yourself, I'm beautiful. This the way it is. If the male have to tell you your beauty, who's beautiful, who's not
Mm.
beautiful. No, he's no more human than you. And you have a special part in the survival of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, between the apple and and the snake, she just got left, in the pit. And I just think that nobody talked to nobody. I mean, when I was coming up, nobody ever mentioned that a female had any kinds of feelings except what was
Oh, it
taught
was it
to
was
her.
taboo, and especially in the church. I mean,
Oh,
you
yes.
don't talk about. Ooh, goodness. And
No.
and and, and if something did happen, traditionally in the church, it was the
Girl's fault.
boy
Tell
pretty
the
much
truth.
was elevated and the girl was shamed.
The
Mm-hmm.
girl was
Mhm.
shamed. Even
Mhm.
in biblical time, when you be stoned, you know, the men could, they could be forgiven for their acts of infidelity, but the woman wasn't forgiven for anything. She had to be pure. She had to be, and so I said,
Girls
I,
were ostracized even if they were raped.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
like as if it were her
Medusa
fault.
was one in
Mhm.
Greek mythology. The
Mhm.
the the god Zeus raped her, and she had to have all those snakes on her head, not him. And so down through history, and
Mhm.
so we have to gather among ourselves and say, I'm somebody. I am
Mhm.
special. I am precious. And I don't have to give myself away to someone who's going to abuse me to
Mm-hmm.
feel good about myself. I don't have to. My beauty does not come from what some men say, because each man may have a different idea of beauty or value. But
Mhm.
first, I must value myself, because
Mhm.
even Jake with Anna, when she's talking about possessive men,
Mhm.
he owned her, and everything she did had to make him feel better, make him the king, and her, like he says, I'm the rooster, I'm the rooster in this house, and I nobody tells anybody. I tell everybody what to do. So you gotta realize We come from a long journey. And if we
Mhm.
start loving ourselves and looking in that mirror and saying, I don't need you to tell me I'm beautiful, I'm
Mhm.
telling myself.
Mhm.
I need to understand that my body is normal, just like yours. And
Mhm.
it's okay for you to get the feeling of having sex. It's okay for me. It's just I must realize what the
Mhm.
consequences will be for me that will not be for you, and make sure that you and I are on the same page when it comes to true love.
Well, when you learn to, and for, for some of us, it takes longer to learn to love yourself because you're just growing and you're constantly changing and you're trying to navigate life however you can
Mhm.
navigate life, right? You
Mhm.
put, a lot of us put our friends, our family, um,
Yeah.
anybody before ourselves and don't really speak to, oh, well, how do I, and this, just like we talked about in the self-care episode, where we're talking about you got to get to know yourself, and to
Mhm.
know yourself is to love yourself, right? But
Mhm.
Right.
we're, a lot of us are not encouraged to do that because it's, again, from a young age, girls are taught to, play nice, if you will. You know,
Mhm.
be
Nice.
quiet, sit down, wait for a man to come save you on his white horse or whatever.
I have never seen
I
a
Mhm.
I remember my granddaughters were playing
yeah. I've
with
never
some of the little girls in our childcare, and they were playing just with little Barbies or whatever. And the little girl said, um, "Oh, we gotta wait for the prince to come save us." And my granddaughter said, "We don't need no prince to come save us. We could save ourselves. We could save the prince."
Hmm.
There you go.
So, you know, she had a very good, strong sense of self and loving herself at an early age.
That's good.
I think that what I hear being echoed from Miss Helen and from you, Lynn, is that when you spoke about young boys and the mania, um, that they might show, which they think is love, like, oh, I'm crazy about that girl. And Miss Helen is saying that, possession, in between the two characters in her novel, and us all as women knowing that this country was founded, upon men and for men and with men in mind, and we have never been at the top. However, um, what I hear is that between the possession and the mania, that is where we as women find ourselves in those positions where we are on the receiving end of a unhealthy love, or quote unquote, what one might think, oh, this is love. Oh, he snatched me up, he cared about me, he cared that I. No, that's not love. So I feel like in this, it should be said that that isn't love. That is not, what love looks like. That is not what love feels like. And if you're ever on that end, you should recognize that and flee.
Mhm.
Second, I just I was thinking about this topic, and it's funny that you began with the agape love, the philos, and the brotherly love, the unconditional love, and those things. And so, I was thinking about all of those, and just I was like, you know, God gave his only son for us because he wanted to redeem us and give us a way back to him, right? Wh- And it says, like, what greater love is there than to lay down your life for another? Miss Helen has that in her characters. And so there's so many different um lenses, if you will, that we could look through, and it's gonna look different to everyone. And I say that again because it's just so important to understand that, depending upon what you have gone through in life. So I feel like that's the meeting point, as we intersect as human beings, whether we're talking to young men or young women or little girls or grown women, like we're sitting here talking today. It's our job to encourage one another or recognize in relationships between our sisters or friends or whatnot, you know whether unhealthy or we feel it is a healthy love that they're going through, and just try to right each other, not like we can fix everything for everyone, but right each other, get each other back on the right track, or encourage one another to, you know, make good choices, because at the end of the day, self-love has to be key, right? If we don't love ourselves, how can we love someone else? And that's just the bottom line. And that's what I have for that.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
we talk a lot too about, because the way that we grew up, in the church and Christian
Mm-hmm.
background, but you also have then, the same-sex relationships and love, and a lot of those relationships in abuse and this and that too. Well, for one, the shame, right? Everybody in society is shaming you for, first of all, being gay or being lesbian or trans or whatever. So you have that, and you're hiding. And a lot of people that are in same-sex relationships, or you know multiple partner relationships, get swept away and get shamed, and then um, a lot of confusion too. So, I mean, I say let people live and let God deal with how they want. I choose a, male female relationship, but you have people, and we don't want anyone to be hurt or to be left out or to be abused because of confusion or hurt or secrets that are, out there, so love is such a broad topic, because you got your love of your friends, you got love of family, you got agape love, which I think is the hardest thing, because pray for your enemies and love your enemies. Good Lord. Uh, you know, we, you know what I'm saying? And then, you have the love, like you said, Leslie, no greater love than that you should lay down your life for your friends. That's that, what is it? Philia.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
that agape, that unconditional, that I just love you because I love you.
mhm,
Um, I honestly think probably my husband and my kid, you know what I mean? Like my husband and my kids, that's that agape. Maybe my parents, maybe, you know what I mean? It's
mhm,
hard, but we have to look at love in that way too. Like, how do I love? And I think before I had mentioned the five love languages.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I was looking for the book.
I
Gary,
have the book.
Gary Chapman, I believe, is the author, but I think it's eloquently written. I don't think it's a book that you could just pick up and pass by. I think it's a book that you spend some time with. You might find yourself in there, and you're definitely going to find other
Mhm.
people's, because, not I said people's, I meant people. Um, because,
oh,
it's easier to find something in someone else than it is to find in yourself.
mhm,
But that's also, I think, why we spend so much time validating other people and loving other people rather than loving ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
mhm. Can I go back to what Leslie was saying about wishing that she had had an older sister or mother who would talk to her? Um, what we have to realize sometimes is that those people are wishing the same thing. And so they may not always be able to give you the advice that you're looking for. And so sometimes you have to look outside of that or look inside yourself because a lot of the experiences that we had growing up, where we saw what our aunts went through and accepted, we saw what our mothers went through and accepted. And so when they're giving you advice, a lot of them are giving you the same advice that their parents gave them. And some of it was, it's better to have a man than no man at all, you
Right.
know. And so you have to look within yourself to say, is this the right man for me? You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yep.
And
That
so
that makes me think of the book The Four Agreements, because after reading that book, I never looked at life the same. And I say that because um like you're speaking of generational
mhm,
knowledge, basically, or
yeah.
generational curses. You can say
Uh-huh.
that too,
Mhm,
because you can't teach or give someone something that you don't have. And after reading that book, it's like it made me think about,
mhm,
how we adopt different things from our parents and our grandparents, whether it is our religious beliefs, or how we allow other people to treat us. And like you said, if you see, we learn as human beings by seeing, and by way of experience, association. So
mhm,
it's a classical conditioning, if you will. And if you that's how you're learning, I mean, what else will so,
right.
but yeah,
And
so
you have to break the cycle.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. You
Mhm,
have to, or get come to a point in your own life where you start creating your own pathways and
mhm,
belief systems.
mhm,
Yeah. So yeah, I get that. I appreciate that. And
mhm,
I had a wonderful mother. Don't get me wrong. And I'm the
mhm,
baby, and I was spoiled rotten.
mhm,
And it wasn't nothing my mother or my grandmother. Like, I had a good
mhm,
mother and grandparents and father figure, who wasn't my biological father, but still, and
mhm,
yet, um, it would be nice, because I remember, don't you be messing with them boys. Don't you be get you but what you doing? You better not be
mhm,
around you. Who is that boy hanging around my house? And it's like, I ain't
mhm,
even doing nothing. Like, I play sports. We're just hanging out talking. And it just would have been nice to, have someone like
Tell
give
you
you that.
what, yeah.
Yeah.
Put
Like,
you down
why?
and keep you.
Why
Mhm.
you
Why they worried?
can't?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why they worried? Instead of making it
But
you're a bad
Shame.
person.
Yeah. You're
But
bad or shame.
yeah,
but
yeah,
again,
shame.
Mm-hmm.
sex was taboo for them, though.
Yeah. And
You
it's
know,
sad
like,
because the church, like
mhm,
Lynn said, the girl's the worst,
Yes.
the worst. Like, you're supposed to be preaching the love of God. You're supposed to be pulling people in. You're supposed to be
And making girls
discipling.
feel, yeah,
And mm,
if the girl happened to get pregnant, the boy
mm,
could be right there at the church with her.
right.
He hasn't done anything wrong.
Yeah, they're sending a girl off to another state somewhere, you
Yes,
know?
but the
Oh,
boy
you
be
gotta
right
say
there.
it.
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Ah,
then I don't
I
know.
don't think.
I think that if we're not careful,
Right.
um,
Mhm,
well, which I think is a lot, and I speak a lot about church hurt, but I think if we're not careful and we don't start training and giving, in the church, straight no chaser,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have more people falling away, and it's no wonder that churches are getting smaller.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some mega churches and things like that, but I look at some of these mega churches. Like, I go to I guess you would call it a mega church, but yeah, I'm not a member there. I'm a member of a smaller church, but because this church is closer, um, it's a halfway point for, me and my sister to meet. But they have a lot of training classes and things that are really good. Just, preaching the word of God, preaching straight from the word. And, I appreciate that. But they also have finance classes. They also have small groups. They also have groups for singles. They have groups, for classes for married couples and things like that. And I think doing in that way in the and I'm nobody's pastor, so I can't, lead a flock and tell everybody, but I can say and be a witness to what goes on in the church. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
things that are much different than the way that I grew up because, it was just like I said, taboo and things weren't talked about and things weren't shared and for the longest time, when I first got married, I was thinking, sorry, y'all. When I first got married, I was having a hard time because the first time I had a disagreement with my husband, I was like, I have nobody to talk to because I was thought my parents had this perfect marriage because they never disagreed with each other in front of us kids. My sister, I'm thinking, okay, well, she's got a perfect marriage. None of my friends were married, so I just felt lonely and in love, right? Like all I knew is that I was in love and I was going to try to do the best that I could, but I didn't have nobody to go to. Nobody sat down and talked and said, you're going to have disagreements as a
Right.
married couple, right? No one said, you're not always going to feel like you're in love. You're not always going to have that feeling, So
Mhm.
where I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't
So
have
wait a minute. What did you say? You not no, no, you're not gonna always have that feeling that you in love.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like you not gonna be all,
Right.
hearts
Mhm.
and everything all, all the time. Sometimes it's gonna be like, I don't wanna see, your toast on the counter. Clean that up. But that don't mean that I'm not in love anymore, but I didn't have the feeling. One of my mentors said,
Sometimes I don't want to see you.
okay. But then you're thinking, oh, well, there must be something wrong with me. What am I doing wrong? Am I not in love? I don't
Uh-uh.
love this right. And sometimes you're gonna be like, look, man, I love you like a brother.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes you're gonna tell yourself, I got to get out of here and go find Miss Helen.
Mm-hmm.
Find out who
For
she
15
is.
days.
Yes, I got to go find her because I can't find her hooked up on somebody in controlling my life. I need to find who she is and what she's all about and love her. Learn to love her if she don't have no hair. Learn to love her if she is skinny and learn to love her if she's fat. Learn to love her from the inside out. And that's exactly what I did. And I felt so good when I walked back through the door. Because I knew
Especially
who
you did
I was.
your 15-day trip and you found yourself
I
and
found me.
you started showing love of self. And now you can tell other people like sometimes you might have to do this thing
Yeah.
for yourself.
By yourself to even exist. Because when somebody takes totally control over your life, it's not your life. It's your life being led by someone else. And every thought is not your thought, it's someone else's thought. You just a body
Mm.
and being led. And when you're a body being led, you have no control over anything. And all next thing you know, you don't know anything else but what you're told to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be like that, ladies. I don't care how old we are, I don't care how young we are, we have feelings.
Mm.
And we have to be realize that we are absolutely utmost because it would be no earth and no people if it wasn't for us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's important to tell our sons and our daughters uh, and really build them up so that they can be good people, good partners, or if they choose to be by themselves, they can be good at
Yeah.
that too. But love yourself and not in an arrogant way where it's like,
Right.
"Oh, it's just me and nobody else,
No,
but
no, no.
a true love. Like, how would you treat yourself
Yeah.
if you were somebody
Yeah.
else?
Who am I depending
Right?
on
What are
to
you
make
what are you
things I'm
bringing to the
beautiful?
table? How are you showing up for yourself? How are you loving yourself so that you
Mhm.
can fill your cup and then help someone else? And we're going
Mhm.
to be wrapping up soon, ladies, but this has been
All
a
right.
great, great,
Yeah.
great conversation. I'm gonna say, like they say in the church, all minds clear.
Mhm.
Anybody have anything else to add? What they say, Leslie, all minds clear, and what else?
All walking and talking come to a cease.
There we go. Uh, I hope our family likes, subscribes, give us a comment. Let us know what you drank at the cookout while you were listening to our conversation, eavesdropping on our conversation, as we like to say.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's important to have aunties in your community who can, if you can't find, like Leslie was saying, an older sister or an older cousin or whatever, aunties play a big role in the village. You know,
Mm.
find you an auntie, sit down, learn you something, and be good to yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're here just to let you know that we don't know everything, but what we share with each other, we'll learn a whole lot more than we already know, than we do know.
I hope everybody learns something.
Yeah.
Any last comments from anybody?
My
Well,
last
thanks
comment.
for invited me. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you for being here,
Thank you for
Lisa. Leslie, you wanted to.
My last comment is that just to all the women, we wear many hats, period. Like Miss Helen said a little while ago about I forgot how you said it, but it made me think about that fact. We're called to be mothers, we're called to be sisters, aunties, we're called to be doctors to our children, we're
Yeah.
called to be so many things to so many people, but let us, charge ourselves and call ourselves to ourselves and love ourselves. And so those are my last words to everybody. Um, yeah, love yourself because
Yeah.
it has to start at home, right? And
That's right.
home is within. So
Oh, get it, girl. S- Aunties, straight no chasers. We're gonna tell you like it is.
yes,
From our heart.
Well, I want to say to y'all, I love you all. I thank you all again for another great conversation on the auntie's table, straight from our plate.
mm,
Gave it to him straight, no chaser.
Ain't no chaser.
mm.
Oh, wait, wait, wait. No, we can't do that. Where can we find y'all?
Oh,
Where we find you? What's your handles? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter and all the Instagrams and all the nets?
I'm
Lay
not
it.
on any of that stuff.
Mm.
Okay.
Well, you can find
We'll find you.
you can find me at my website, HelenCollierMeow.com. You can find me at Helen Collier um yahoo.com on my email address if you want to talk to me or you want to leave a message and let me know that you saw our podcast and that how it affected you. If you can go to our podcast and leave a subscribe and leave a message there, and once we start getting those messages back, we will comment on them and let you know. We'll have a time where that's what we'll be doing, commenting on what you've said and how what your feelings are, and leave your emails, and we'll get back to you.
Mm. Well, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. My name is spelled Lesleigh on Facebook as well as Instagram. And Instagram is 1 million brown girls. So let me see. My email address is lesleighmtg@gmail.com. And those are the three places where anybody could reach me.
Good.
And I'm Lynn Reese. If you want my email, it's northerncomforts@yahoo.com and lynnreese.com. And then I'm also an associate with Legal Shield. So I am Verna Reese at wearelegalshield.com. Come on and join my team.
Mm.
Love y'all.
Mm.
Be good.
All right.